Hi, Skylar here from The Mint Change You Can Wear, and welcome to Forged, Coin Ring Making Book 2. In this video, we're going to go along with the book step by step on how to make a quarter coin ring with more advanced methods and tools. With the purchase of the book, you're going to get another video going over how to make clad halves and also silver half dollars. Also included in the book will be a step-by-step cheat sheet for every single type of coin ring being shown in both videos. And a link to that book will be in the description box below this video. Okay, let's get started. First things first, let's take a look at all the tools and supplies we're going to need. A ring stretcher reducer machine, 9-piece Harbor Freight punch and die set, steel or aluminum mandrel, ring sizing gauge, propane torch, a deburring tool, 0.9 by 1.0 17-degree die by Jason's Works, Ross coin alignment card, universal stabilizer folding cones and spacer set by Jason's Works, and also a stainless steel starter cone from Jason's Works. That's about it for all the tools that we're going to need. And as far as supplies, all we need is some 4-0 steel wool, 120 grit sandpaper, Pepe lube from Pepe Tools, and some jewelry wipes. Step 1 is pick your coin and find your ring size. Now if you don't know your ring size, it's a good idea to get one of these ring size gauges. You can keep putting one on until you find one that fits, and then you'll go with using that as your target size. For this particular ring, I'm going to use a 97 quarter. And make sure you use the very best coin you can get. I personally use uncirculated clad coins just because they're so cheap. You can get them in perfect condition for not a whole lot more than face value. But if you can't, just find the very best one you can, because the best coin is going to make your best looking ring. Now we're on to step 2, which is cut a hole in your coin. So the way we're going to be cutting a hole in our coin today is with the Harbor Freight 9-piece punch and die set. For a quarter coin ring, I tend to use 1/2 inch, so we're going to use the 1/2 inch punch. And the tool we're going to be using to align our coin is going to be the Ross alignment cards. And the way these are designed is to get a perfect hole inside of your quarter. It'll hold your quarter in there like that. Then we're going to turn this thing upside down and slide it into our 9-piece Harbor Freight punch and die set, and then we're going to align the two holes together. Once you get it pretty close to aligned, we're going to slide our punch in there, this sharp side, never the beveled side, and just slide it around till it locks in. Once you feel that you have it on the coin itself, you are ready to punch. Now you're going to want to do this on the most solid surface you can. I'm doing this right on the post that's holding this bench up. And hold the punch very carefully and just make sure you don't hit your fingers as you do this. There we go, now we're through. Now what we need to do is send this thing all the way through the plate and then push it through with a smaller punch to get it free from the card and the die plate. Alright, now we're free. Now we're going to use a small punch just to push the quarter out with that little hole right there. Alright, we're free. Now we have a perfectly centered hole in our quarter. We are on to step 3, which is going to be deburring the hole we just cut and then sanding it. And what we're going to be doing here is cutting this sharp edge that we have on both sides of the coin, because it's a nice sharp edge in there now we need to get rid of. We're going to deburr it with our deburring tool to make it about a 45-degree angle on both sides, so that way it's less likely to split. And then just to be sure it's nice and smooth, we're going to sand it with some 120 grit sandpaper. Now you can see that edge is cut and 45-degree on both sides. And now we're going to sand it just to smooth it out the rest of the way. Alright, nice and smooth and ready for the next step. Now we're moving to step 4, which is annealing our coin and getting it ready for the forging process. Now annealing, what that's going to do is soften the metal so we can bend it without it splitting on us. And the way we do that is heat it up to just a dull red with a propane torch like this. Once we get to that dull red about like that, we'll grab it and quench it in some water. And now, since this is copper, it's a non-ferrous metal, it does not harden like a ferrous metal like steel or iron would if you were to quench those. Now we are on to step number 5, which is place your coin in the appropriate die and fold it. So what we want to do is we want the date on the outside, so we're going to put that facing down in our die. And then it's important to start off with the steel starter cone. If you started off with these cones right away, you would end up gouging them, and you don't want to do that. So just level it the best you can, put your starter cone on, place it underneath your plunger, and start folding. And that is what it looks like after you're done with the starter cone. Now we're going to put it back in the die and continue on with our folding cones. Give it a couple taps to make sure it's in there nice and level, and then fold until it stops. All right, there we are. Here's what we're looking to do. We want to fold that coin until it's completely against that folding cone. That's when you know you're done folding it. Now we are on step 6, which is going to be resanding this cut edge right here. After we folded it, there's a chance that you could start a split working in there. And the way you want to avoid that is resand that cut edge so you can see clearly if there's anything starting. If there is, you can take a little half-round file and sand it out, or just sand it out with a sandpaper. So what we're going to do now is just resand it with our 120 grit sandpaper and check for cracks. So first thing we're going to do is sand on the inside of the cut edge. The next thing we're going to do is fold that sandpaper over the top, hold it like that with your fingers, and sand that outside edge. Carefully without hitting the detail on the coin. You don't want to do that. Just a little bit around the edges. And this is exactly what we're looking for here. What we're doing is looking that cut edge and seeing if there's any cracks started at all. And it looks like we're doing really well, so we don't have any cracks going, so we are ready for the next step. And step 7 is going to be to re-anneal. Every time we move the metal, it gets hard again, so we're going to have to re-soften it so we can keep going. All right, we're to that dull orange again. Quench it, and we are off to the next step. We are at step 8 now, which is going to be stretch your quarter coin ring 1.5 sizes larger than your target size. And now the target size I'm going for in this quarter is going to be a size 7. So actually, if you were to stretch this quarter out right now, it would be more than a size and a half larger than our target size, which is okay. If you want to go at least 1.5 sizes larger than your target size. If your target size is 2, 2.5, 3 sizes smaller, no big deal. We can take care of that in the reducing portion of this process. But for now, it has to be at least 1.5 size larger than your target size. And the way we do that is stretch it on our ring stretcher. Every time you push this out, it stretches this mandrel. And when you pull it back in, it contracts again. So what we're going to do is put our quarter on there, reed side up. And just so you guys know, this coin edge on the top here, that's what we call coin reeding. So that's the reeded side up. And we're going to stretch it, turn it about a quarter turn as we push it down, stretch it again, release it, turn it about a quarter turn, push it down, and then continue that process until the coin reeds are totally against this mandrel. You don't want any space in between. Now you can see we've stretched it far enough to where the coin edge is totally against the stretching mandrel, and now we know we're good to go. The way we check ring size is always from the coin reed or the coin edge side of this ring. And it's sitting about a 9 1/4 right now. So that's perfect. We're at least 1.5 sizes larger than our target size. Now we are on to step 9, which is going to be reduce in a die 1 size smaller than your target size. And this is going to be reed side facing down. So before we get started, we'll put a little Pepe Lube on the reed side of our coin ring and put it in the die. Now if it's a little large, you can put it in the larger side, which is the 0.1 side of the die. But this one's just about the right size to fit in this 0.9 side now. So that's what we're going to do, put it in the 0.9 side. Give it a couple taps just to make sure it's nice and level in there, and then reduce. We'll check to see where we are. We are just below a size 6. We're about a size below our target size, which is exactly what we're looking to do. Step 10 is going to be deburr and sand the reed side of your ring and finalize your fit. So right now, inside here there's a sharp lip we need to get rid of. It's not very comfortable to wear with that lip on the inside there. So we're going to take our deburring tool and deburr that till we go ahead and round that lip off. And then once we have it rounded off, we're going to sand it just to get rid of any rough marks from the deburring tool. And then we'll make sure it's going to be a size 7. We might have to stretch it or reduce it depending if it's not quite perfectly a size 7 yet. Now that we've deburred the inside of that ring, we're going to sand the inside just to get rid of any sharp edges or rough edges that might still be there. Just smooth everything out real nicely. So that's nice and smoothed out now. Let's check the size. We are right on a 7. And if it wasn't perfectly a 7, we would either stretch it out or reduce it in the die until it was exactly where we needed it to be. Now we are on to step 11, which is reduce the cut edge to make it match. And this is going to be reeded side facing up in our die. This side here is a little bit wider than that side, and we want this to be perfectly even on both sides. So we're going to put this in our die with a little Pepe lube and then reduce it until it perfectly matches. Now make sure you don't overdo it. Do it nice and slowly, a little bit at a time, till you get right where you need to be. Here's what we came up with. Now the shape is nice and even all the way around in the ring. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now we are at step 12. And in this step, we're going to be sanding off the fire scale with either 4-0 steel wool or a sanding block, or both. It just depends, up to you. I tend to like 4-0 steel wool just because it gets inside of the band of the ring really well. Just sand off just enough. It's really a personal preference. You can leave as much of the black or take as much of the black off as you like. That's about as much as I want to take off there. See good detail on the inside. Then I'll take the 4-0 steel wool and just clean off this coin edge or reeded edge side. And then for clad coins, I really like using a sanding block. And here's this. This is optional. You can just use the 4-0 steel wool if you want. I get these from Sally Beauty Supply, and they're the yellow ones. And these work perfectly for sanding the fire scale off of the outside of a clad coin while leaving a little bit of the black on there. So just kind of go through slowly and evenly work your way around the ring. All right, and that's what we came up with there. The dark really accents the detail of the coin. That's why we leave a little bit of that black on there. And our final step, step 13, polish your ring with a jewelry cloth. And this is the jewelry cloths I like to use here. They come from Walmart. We're going to start off by polishing the inside of the band. Get that coin edge polished up. And then finally polish the outside of the band. All right, and that's that. That's a finished coin ring. 13 easy to follow steps. You come out with a really fantastic ring. That's it for making a quarter coin ring. Now make sure you follow the link in the description box below to get to the book and the additional bonus video of how to make a clad $1/2 coin ring and the silver $1/2 coin rings with those additional steps and the additional tools and supplies. All right guys, as always, thank you for watching.